The rain poured hard against the night sky, washing the streets in silver reflections. Outside the tall iron gates of a brand new mansion, laughter and cheers echoed, cutting through the storm. A family stood together, soaked but ecstatic, holding a black leather bag with bold white letters stamped across it, $64 million. Champagne bottles popped, voices shouted in joy, and camera flashes captured the moment of victory. And then, in the corner, almost invisible against the storm, sat an old woman in a wheelchair. Her frail hands trembled on her lap, her thin blanket soaked through by the rain. Her face, marked with deep lines of sacrifice, was not lit with joy but shadowed by loneliness. Her name was Margaret. She was the mother who had built this family with her blood, her tears, and every ounce of love she had left to give. Tonight, while everyone celebrated millions, she sat in silence, forgotten. Years ago, Margaret lived in a tiny, broken apartment with her young son. There was no money for heat, no food in the fridge, and the nights were long and cruel. She worked endless hours, scrubbing floors, washing dishes, folding clothes for strangers. She sold her wedding ring just to keep bread on the table. And through it all, she whispered the same prayer every night: God, make my son a man who never has to beg. Make him someone the world will respect. That little boy grew up watching her hands bleed from labor. He saw her skip meals so he could eat, saw her wear torn shoes so he could have books for school. She told him, one day, you will sit in offices where people wear suits and call you sir. One day, you will be more than this poverty. And when that day comes, promise me, don't forget me. The boy nodded with tears in his eyes. He swore he never would. The boy became a man. He studied hard, pushed his way into business, and worked until his name meant something. Failures came, big, painful failures, but his mother never let him quit. Fall down, she told him, but don't stay down. Eventually, he built a company. The doors opened, success walked in, money followed, and soon, he was no longer the poor boy with holes in his shoes. He was a CEO. With success came distance. He bought suits, cars, penthouses. He shook hands with the rich, made deals with the powerful. Calls to his mother grew shorter. Visits home became rare. I'm busy, Mom, he would say, I'll come next week. But next week never came. Margaret sat by her window, staring at the phone, waiting for a ring that never came. And then one day, fortune smiled again. A lottery ticket, nothing but a slip of paper bought in haste, turned into $64 million. The family exploded with joy. They planned vacations, bought jewelry, dreamed of yachts and private jets. To them, it was heaven on earth. To Margaret, it was something else. She looked at the pile of money and whispered to herself, is this what I sacrificed my soul for? To be left behind in the shadow of money. On the day they went to claim the prize, the rain fell hard, but no one cared. They wanted the photographs, the moment, the headlines: millionaire family wins $64 million. They wheeled Margaret out only because the cameras might ask questions if she wasn't there. She sat trembling, the cold cutting into her bones, while they lifted the bag of money into the air like a trophy. Her son, the CEO she had raised with her tears, stood tall, smiling for the world. But when his eyes fell on his mother, something inside him cracked. For the first time in years, he really looked at her. He saw the wrinkles carved deeper than before. He saw the sadness hidden behind her silence. He saw the hands that once held his face now too weak to lift themselves from her lap. And for the first time in years, he felt shame. The money in his hands suddenly felt like ashes. His mother's lips moved softly. The storm drowned her voice, but he could read the words: I prayed for your happiness, but never imagined it would mean my loneliness. That night, the family filled the mansion with music and lights. They danced on marble floors, poured champagne, and planned the future. But Margaret sat by the window, looking out at the rain. Every cheer from inside cut her heart deeper. She had given her life for these children. And now she was a guest in their world, present, but invisible. The world would look at that family and say, how lucky. How rich, how powerful. But Margaret knew the truth. They were rich in money and poor in love. They had gained the world but lost their soul. True wealth is not the number of zeros in your bank account. True wealth is the smile on your mother's face when you remember her. It is the warmth in her heart when you hold her hand, even when the world is watching. Without that, no matter how high you rise, you are the poorest person alive. If you have millions but abandon the hands that once fed you, then you are not a millionaire, you are bankrupt in the only currency that matters, love. And so, while the cameras flashed and the world cheered, Margaret whispered one last prayer. Not for more money, not for more years, but for one moment, just one, where her children would remember who made them who they are. Because the truth is simple. Money can build mansions, but only love can build a home.